We're back then today with another build guide video for Last Epoch. We have a bit of a spin for this one. Today we're actually going to look at 4 of the most broken builds for patch 1.0. So these are builds that are either near enough deleting tier 4 dual rat instantly, or builds where you're just simply unkillable and gaining up to 50,000 ward. We've got some pretty bonkers builds to show off here. What is different about this video is that these will actually be builds by other content creators within the community. So I will put links to the original videos. Please check out the original videos and watch them in full if you like this particular video. So let's dive in, let's start breaking all these down. The first build we have here is for the Falconer, and this just deletes bosses, and this includes tier 4 jewelry. The damage in this is just absolutely bonkers. The build is by Chadley. There's a link to his original Falcon guide video in the description below, so please do check that out. The build's a pretty simple setup where you cast Smoke Bomb, you fire off some arrows, and then you cast Dive Bomb and you'll nuke any enemies in the area. Gear wise for this, the Talons of Valor bow added with patch 1.0 is required for this build. It offers a ton of skill points to your Falcon and Dive Bomb, as well as massively increasing the damage that your Falcon does. The passive tree selection for this build is all about minion damage and dexterity, with the bulk of the points being in falconry and some points into marksman for health gain and bow attacks and increased critical strike chance. In regards to the skills that are used here, the first skill is Smoke Bomb. This is used to generate shadows, and it's set up so that it's a targeted skill where you can use this to aim when the Smoke Bomb goes off. The shadows are the important part of this, as they have an awesome synergy with the Dive Bomb skill. The next skill we have here is Dive Bomb, and this is the main source of damage with this build. This is set up so that when you use Dive Bomb, it will generate a Shadow Falcon that will attack active shadow locations at the same time, and through a node called Dancing Shadows, any Falcons that attack within the area of your Smoke Bomb will attack again, doubling the damage. This is one of the best uses of synergies between skills that I have seen in the game. The falconry tree is set up so that the falcon inherits or damage and crit chance stats, so in turn this buffs the damage when you use the Dive Bomb ability. The fourth skill, Explosive Trap, this is converted to a bow skill. It will fire off a ton of traps, so it'll explode and they have a chance to create further traps. This particular setup is all about providing your falcon with extra physical penetration via the sky signal node within this tree, and also reducing the cooldown of Dive Bomb via a node called Free Lofting Bird, and also through a node called United Assault that's actually available within the Dive Bomb tree. The final skill is Aerial Assault. This can be used to generate shadows when you kill an enemy with it, and it's also set up to do 100% more damage to high health enemies and bosses. Overall, this is an absolutely incredible build, and I can't wait to see what he does with it once he gets the perfect gear that he is hunting for. Our next busted build here is a spin on the Auto Bomber Void Knight, and it keeps its lazy high damage playstyle, but it adds a ton of survivability to it as well. So this build is by Allie. Once again, a link to their video is in the description below. Once again, please do check out the full video. The skill that provides this huge increase in survivability for this setup is Healing Hands, and this had a skill tree added to it with patch 1.0, so it now provides you with a source of ward with this setup, and it allows you to face tank bosses even at high corruption. Gear wise, this build doesn't require any uniques, but to get the most out of it, you want to stack vitality, increase healing effectiveness as well. You also need an experimental glove node or a gear piece that grants you ward per second based on your missing health, and you'll see why once we actually get to the skill breakdown. The passive point allocation for this setup is all about increasing vitality, void damage and also healing effectiveness, but you would put 15 points into the paladin tree, as much as this is a Void Knight mastery, because that allows you to unlock the Healing Hands skill. The first skill that we look at here is actually Healing Hands. This is what provides us with the insane survivability. So this is set up so that it doesn't cost any mana, and when you directly cast Smite, which will be your main spender, you have a 100% chance to cast Healing Hands as well. The Divine Barrier node within this makes it so that if the affected ally has gear that makes them gain ward based on missing health, that's the gloves we talked about earlier, rather than gaining health with this, you would actually gain ward instead. The next skill is Sigils of Hope. This is used to increase endurance, threshold, void damage, and there's also a chance to summon a sigil on kill as well. The Anomaly skill will be instantly cast with this setup, and the time bubble that has various buffs associated with it is set up so that it follows you as well. Devouring Orb then is a standard auto bomber setup. With this it's on auto cast and the orbs orbit you and they release abyssal orbs at the same time as well. The final skill here then, this is Smite. The setup that's used, it's all about sacrificing your health per cast to massively increase the damage it does. On your typical setup, this would run into survivability issues with this, but due to the healing hands, you can easily offset the health loss. This build setup then takes an older popular build and manages to fill in one of its only weak spots, so it's really fantastic to see what she's done with this one. Our next build showcase is for the Warlock Mastery, and this is from a content creator called The Curse. He's probably my favourite Last Epoch content creator, and he's consistently coming up with broken builds for the game. As always, there is a link to his video in the comments below. This build that he's come up with is able to down tier 4 Julra in under 20 seconds, and it's able to hit over 50,000 ward as well. If you want to use this build, I would say use it fast, as the ward numbers we're getting here are beyond broken, and there's no doubt they will be changed in a future patch. The one downside of this setup is that it is very gear intensive. It makes use of 6 uniques, some of them are quite hard to farm. The uniques are the Bone Clamor Barbute Helmet. You have the Mad Alchemist Ladle, this drops from Exiled Mages. You have Immolator's Oblation, this comes from tier 3 and tier 4 of the Soulfire Bastion dungeon. The Red Ring of Atlaria, Malin's Hubris, and then finally the Twisted Heart. The passive tree for this setup is all about maxing out necrotic resistance, as this can actually be converted and provide us with a boost to ward decay threshold. The majority of the points will be in the Warlock tree and boosting damage for curses and spells, as well as getting the all-important Wither status effect, and will essentially triple our damage. The Lich tree is used for boosts to both intelligence and necrotic damage. The first skill we have here, and this is the main source of damage, this is Tonic Fissure. With this, the setup has it so that you create 2 fissures per cast. It's converted to a traversal skill, and the curse associated with it, which is Torment, will deal additional damage as well. The next skill is Spirit Plague. How this works is pretty crazy. The setup is one so that when you cast this, you also inflict bleed in yourself, and this in turn is converted to fire via the Malin's Hubris unique, and then in turn through the Immolator's unique belt you gain increased flat spell damage up to an insane 240 flat damage. This skill and gear combination is a perfect example of why I think Curse is one of the best content creators for Last Epoch. The next skill we have is Bone Curse. This is a 12% kill threshold. It affects enemies with Mark for Death, and that lowers their resistances by 25%. It also creates a bone prison that actually counts as 11 separate minions, and this will tie in with the next skill. So the next skill then is Profane Fail. This is a node where it will consume up to 10 minions, and it will grant you ward equal to a portion of the bone prison minions that you consume. This is what gives us the insane ward numbers, and as mentioned, do expect this to see a nerf in future. The final skill is Ghost Flame. This is used mainly as a traversal skill and more of a utility rather than a damage skill. From a defensive perspective, this is probably the most broken build I would say available in the game at the moment. 50k ward numbers is just absolutely insane. I imagine you could probably tank tier 4 Julra's AoE attack that normally one-shots you with. I'd be curious to see if you actually could do that. But yeah, absolutely incredible build once again from The Curse. Our final broken build here is by some guy called TonyBingGaming. Apparently his content is really good, but it's impossible to understand what he says. The build is a Wraithlord Necromancer, so this build is all about buffing the Wraithlord and sacrificing minions to boost its damage. On the training dummy, they can hit for over 4 million per hit, and it's doing multiple hits per second. That's without optimised gear. It can also take down tier 4 Julra in under 20 seconds as well. The unique then that allows you to summon the Wraithlord, this is Wraithlord's Harbour, a new unique added in patch 1.0. It's thankfully a common drop, so it's pretty easy to farm. Other uniques that work great with this build are the Reach of the Grave and also the Death Rattle amulet as well. The passive skill selection for this build is all about buffing minions and minion necrotic damage, with the bulk of the points being in the Necromancer tree and 8 points go into the Warlock tree for some extra minion necrotic damage. The first skill we have here is Summon Wraith. This allows us to summon the Wraithlord. The setup here limits the amount of Wraiths the Wraithlord will summon to 2, and it massively increases their health. This means that the Wraithlord spends little to no time summoning Wraiths, and it can fully concentrate on spamming its 4 million per hit necrotic beams. The next skill is Dreadshade. This one massively boosts the damage of the Wraithlord, and although it means the Wraithlord takes more damage, it can easily sustain this with the insane life leech it gets from critical hits. With this setup used here, the Wraithlord gets 145% more damage, 64% increased cast speed, and it always critically hits. The next skill is Volatile Zombies. The setup you see here allows it to summon 5 zombies per cast. These are instantly destroyed by the Wraithlord, and in turn that then spawns 10 corpse parasites and 3 skeleton vanguards that are also instantly destroyed. So this gives the Wraithlord 180 flat spell damage for 10 seconds. With the cooldown of this skill being reduced to 6 seconds, it means you can get an insane 360 additional spell damage for the Wraithlord. The next skill is Transplant. This is your standard movement skill with it set up to add bone armour for some survivability on cast, as well as summoning a bone minion that the Wraithlord will instantly destroy for some extra spell damage. The final skill is another buff to the Wraithlord, and this is Infernal Shade. In return for taking damage over time that can easily be sustained, the Wraithlord gains haste and up to 72% increased cast and movement speed. This is personally my favourite build on the 4, and although Tony Bing sounds like Fat Bastard from the Austin Powers movies,
first things first, where's your shitter? I've got a turtle head poking out.
his content is totally worth checking out. So that is 4 broken builds in patch 1.0 for Last Epoch. No doubt these will be tuned at a later date, so enjoy them whilst you can for now. If there's any other broken builds out there you want me to actually showcase in a video, if you've maybe got a broken build you come up with yourself, you want me to showcase it in these videos, then do let me know in the comments below. But thanks for tuning in for this one, stay safe, I'll see you all again soon.